What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Forza Horizon 4. Today we are going to do the winter seasonal event in the road racing series, for which we need an S2 998 rated car. That's the highest you can go, and base cost more than or equal to 2 million credits. I'm using a tuned Centenario. I put it up to 997 rating, which is one below the threshold, so that's fine. As you can see, we have plenty of cars to pick from. If you don't have one, maybe you can buy one. Again, it costs 2 million or more as a base cost. So. I like the Centenario because, like in the other winter challenges, it's good to have a car that has decent handling. Obviously we need to play on highly skilled to unlock the best rewards. And as you can already see, the Centenario is just, in these conditions, it is super fast. So if you have that, it's certainly a car worth using. It's not ideal, but the race just started, so whatever. We kind of made a switcheroo with him, kind of looked at the left side, and when he went left we went past the right, so that worked pretty well. Now we only have this guy left to overtake, which I guess we can do. Again, he also has a Centenario, so we don't really have the same advantage here that we have against the other cars. We're on the outside. Nope, blocking us off. Darting inside. Yep. It was a very long ride, so darting inside kind of gave us the edge there. If it was a regular right turn, then we probably couldn't have done that. Because he would have just straightened up and went on the gas a lot earlier, on the throttle. Now a long left turn. We are a little bit on the throttle, playing it. Very close there. Now we kind of just have to play it conservatively, don't take too many risks, and drive it home. The other guy is quite a bit behind us, and the Centenario really shouldn't cause too much trouble if you have that, or if you have any other car with a reasonable handling. And now it's just a sprint to the finish. Well, not quite a sprint to the finish. There's the finish. So that first race was quite the domination, actually. I did not fit snow tires, because we obviously want to stick on the road, and I don't see why we should pick snow tires here. I think the regular tires help just enough to stay on the road, and if we go off-road, then it's over anyway. So that was the first race. The second race is here. And the tuned Centenario really gives you a situation. Here the road has a lot more snow, so here you could make the argument that maybe you want to fit snow tires, but I still think our four-wheel drive that we have gives us a pretty good situation compared to the other cars. There's the other Centenario, which finished second in the last race. And always remember, you don't need to win every race. It's a championship, so you need to get the most points by the end. Now obviously winning every race is a lot more fun, and here you can already see we are just owning the cars that have rear-wheel drive, because they just don't get the same traction on the snow Actually braking very early here just to be able to turn in properly, and you can already see the Lambos are driving away because they also have that advantage of just being a lot better in these conditions. But we are very close, and we are now following the Centenario on the overtake. And I wanted to drive past on the right, but the road didn't really allow that maneuver. Very early braking again. Obviously we can't just follow him now, we need to overtake him or else we are tied in the standings, and I don't want that. But we still have a lot of race remaining, so we don't need to overtake him right away. These are very tricky conditions, so it's okay to not take too much risk here. Those are conditions where the AI really shines because it isn't very impacted by it. He had a little swerve there. And now we can dart inside maybe? No, we can't. Now we can. Kind of chopped him off there. I also put him behind a little bit because we threw him off his line a little bit. And a mistake in these conditions can have a lot more consequences than a mistake in dry conditions. And you also need to be a lot more careful with your throttle here and with how strongly you brake. Because, like I said, the snowy conditions are a lot worse than in the first race, where we were pretty much driving on tarmac anyway. Here you really can be happy when you drive a four-wheel drive car. Because these conditions are tricky. And we are close to the finish line. Now we just need to make sure we don't blow it. And there's the finish line. There we go. That wasn't too difficult. It's really about being nimble. And now we have an 8-point lead. And just making sure that you keep the car balanced. And that you always look at the road ahead and just make sure you don't overdo it. Don't brake too late if you don't have to. All of these things. And over here's our last race. It would suffice if we finish second, then we win anyway. And I would assume the other Centenario will win then, if it will be the best car again. Because again, in these conditions it's just so good. Compared to some of these other cars driving against us. Which just, in those snowy conditions, they just can't really keep up. You can see it at the start here again, we just drive away from them. Turn out of the way. Yeah, as you can see, look at the two Lambos just driving away. They have like the same advantage we have. But they are struggling in the snow as well a little bit. That allows us to get closer. This is difficult to drive. It's a very tough drive here. And we are now going to try to overtake at least one. Yeah, he was backing down or else we would have just collided. Careful into the corner. He is very careful on the throttle, so we can now maybe dart in. Yes, and now we block his line. And now we take the lead. And we should be able to keep it if we don't completely mess up, which can always happen in these conditions, so make sure you drive careful. Now the AI, I know it's pretty good in these conditions, but it also makes its fair share of blunders here. Not like any huge mistakes, but they are maybe a little too hard on the throttle and they need to correct a little bit. So it is a tricky drive here. But you should be able to do it. I imagine this is difficult with a keyboard though, if you play on a keyboard. Which I wouldn't even suggest in the summer, let alone in the winter. Now, obviously here you could see we had that very little drift there. And just imagine if you do this in a rear-wheel drive car where the rear just isn't planted at all, and it's a lot worse. So these conditions really are perfect for a car like this in comparison to the other cars, obviously. I mean, it's still not a car made for the winter, don't get me wrong. But as you can see, like with this car, snow tires, you just don't need them. You can drive perfectly fine without them here, as we are on the last lap. That one was pretty good. And just stay careful into the corners, brake a little bit early. Obviously you don't need to get to the goal as quickly as possible as long as you are first. And just even when you drift, try to keep them controlled like we do. Like, you can use slight drifting to get your car straightened up faster. And as you can see, the Lambos are just so much better than anything else going here. And you can see the other cars, they're like rear-wheel drive cars, and they're just so much slower in comparison here. And that gives us the rewards. And helps us finish the winter season. And there's a Mustang. And obviously the credit rewards, which they're fine. You can get the rewards by playing on a lower difficulty, but you only get less of the rewards. If you want the car, you have to drive on, I think, highly skilled is the one you need to pick. But the instructions tell you which one you need to pick, and if you are not on the correct difficulty, you are actually asked if you want to change it, so that really shouldn't happen. So yeah, this is certainly a car I recommend for this. Probably my favorite one for a race like this. So I hope you enjoyed it, thank you for watching, and until next time, farewell.